It's a live, right? Yes, it's. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Celtic Unsubstituted podcast. My name is Ryan Clifford. Well, it's now a big week ahead for Celtic. Hearts pre-match tomorrow. Joining me this week is JP and Sean. As I says, lads, big game for us again coming up on Thursday. Sean, it's your first time on, mate. How's things? And you're looking forward to the match tomorrow?
Aye, I'm all good. And I'm buzzing for the game tomorrow. I think it's a massive opportunity again in front of your own supporters to go and play against what will be a tough opponent in Hearts. But definitely looking forward to it. And it's a game I think we should and will win. All things going to plan, of course.
I think I can agree with you there, mate. That's a game we should be looking forward to, as you say. Celtic Park, Thursday night under the lights. JP, we don't get a game like this often, especially it's on Sky as well. So it is a bit of a treat for maybe fans that can't get the game as well.
No, definitely. First of all, welcome, Sean.
Those guys, cheers for having us on, man. I appreciate it.
No problems, mate. How you doing, Ryan? All right, mate?
I'm good, mate. I'm plodding on, mate, in this weird world at the moment.
Fantastic. But yeah, shocker. We're live on the telly for I don't know how long. It's been a wee while. It's good to get us live back on Sky Telly. As much as Sky say they care about Scottish football, I think we all know that that's a kind of pie in the sky kind of statement that they always make. But no, as Sean says, brilliant again, back at home, under the lights of paradise, and should be a good one. I'd imagine Hearts will, apparently they're going to open up. Don't know whether that's true or not. Hope it is, because it'll eat into our hands, and that's the kind of game we thrive on.
I would say so, mate. I know you posted today saying that Nielsen says that. I wasn't sure if he's bluffing or no, trying to maybe get a reaction for Celtic. Or I know I can't see us reacting to that at all, to be fair. I think maybe in previous years there might be a bit more talk about games, but I think under Ange especially. The same it was with Rodgers, Sean, that the paper talk with Celtic's minimal these days. And I know with Dyer, I think me and JP spoke about the last podcast, whether Dyer, you're like Johansson, we're going to do this, and you had Tavernier the other side of the city, we're going to do this. And I think the last maybe few years, again, with Rodgers, it was quiet and done. And obviously last season was just every day there's paper talking. Now, again, this year, you don't get many leaks with Celtic going up to games now, and I think I would say it's an advantage because teams are starting to, in my opinion, fear us a wee bit now.
No, definitely. We have some more, whether they come out or no. I think genuinely, from my point of view, I hope they do, because I think that'll leave spaces for like Jota, Kyogo, Abada, Forrest, depending who's starting and whatever else. And you know what? I mean, it adds to the sort of big game feel it, because I think it is a big game for us tomorrow. Hearts is obviously a sort of semi-rival, if you want to call them that. You know what I mean? Sort of more. You know what I mean? We call them the diet version of another team that are close by. Like, but definitely. But you know what? If they want to come out and, you know what I mean, tell us how they're going to play or whatever, then that's probably just doing a team talk for us, if anything. But I think they will probably try and stick the boot in as well. I mean, they've got, obviously, I'd imagine Andy Halliday will probably start tomorrow, and, you know, he's always up for these sort of games. Sort of big boys for like the bag for like John Souttar and stuff like that. We'll probably try to utilise set pieces and that quite a lot as well. But look, at the end of the day, these are the sort of teams that you need to play and win against to win these titles. And I hope to God they do come out, because I think that might actually make it easier for us. But you know, I'm not saying that I'm not going to sit and jinx myself and say, oh, aye, that the next thing, and then they go and beat us tomorrow. But we'll see what happens.
I'm kind of agreeing with the two of you lads that I think if Hearts do come out the way Nielsen says are going to come out, I think it could be a taste of defeat for Hearts if that's the way they want to come out, because as you mentioned, Kyogo, Jota, even if it's a bad or Forest, it does start our wing, you've still got plenty of options there. And the way we're playing now, as you said, JP, Celtic Park, it's no a fortress, but we're starting to get to a stage where you're kind of expecting to go 1-3-4 nothing now again. And for months at Celtic Park, you were just won the game. And now you're actually, because of as Sean says, your Kyogo's up front, you're not going to give defenders a minute, because even if he's not on form, you know he's going to give you effort no matter who you play. And I think it's somebody we need to get the best out of, if it means we need to keep him up front and no put him out wide, as much as I think eventually maybe Giakoumakis might come in again. But I think for us to get the best results, I think he's got to play up front for the middle all the time.
Aye, definitely, Ryan. It's where he's most dangerous, and it's where he looks the most threatening. And as you said yourself, he chases lost causes, and he wins a lot of things that we would probably look in the stands or look for the telly and go, "You do me, man, you're not going to get in." And before you know it, we've got a corner, or he's drew a foul at the defender, and maybe he's got a penalty, or he's created something off the back of just chasing a lost cause, is what we would call it. In terms of looking at the game tomorrow, I think what we've got to look at as well, the big positives for us is Tom Rogic is back, fully fit, ready to go, and I think Big Beaton's ready to go as well.
Aye, Anne says that,
aye. So I think, like say, you've got to look at McCarthy as well. We get 90 minutes of him on Sunday, which is a huge bonus. Not even that, we got a performance of him as well. I thought he was outstanding on Sunday. His all-round distribution of the ball, short passes, long passes, when to speed it up, when to slow it down. He was right on the ball waiting Sunday. And to lead to McGregor's second goal, he goes to shoot, feints, comes inside, shows a great bit of skill, plays a great through ball for Abada. All right, wee man was unlucky with his dunk there, Joe Lewis. But again, I thought McCarthy was superb. We spoke about it in the previous pod. When it gets to when you're still 2-1 and maybe the game hasn't went, the free flowing way, we'd love it to go 3-4, maybe 5-1. When it doesn't get like that, he's clever as well, Ryan. He gets the ball and he, when he knows the time's coming down, he knocks it out, for shies, and people are going like, "Oh, that's a nobody ball, that's to nobody, that's nothing, right you down." But when you look at it for the other perspective, it's been clever. He knows he's running down the clock. So again, you've got that intelligence and McCarthy there. So Ange's definitely got a headache for tomorrow. But I'm really glad Tom Rogic is back, because that adds another dimension of your Jotas, your Kyogos, Abada, Forrest, and the quality of Tom Rogic. Absolutely unbelievable. I think what's happening now is with other teams, when they come to Parkhead, we've seen it recently with the other teams, they're putting the fear into people. When you come to Parkhead, you're going to get Raleigh or Tappy. And that's the way I want other teams thinking when they come to Paradise now, including that mob across the water.
Like you say about obviously Rogic been back, and I don't think I know last year a lot of players were underperforming, but his ability's never been questioned. It was always, did he want to be here for last year? But that came under the illusion with a lot of players. It wasn't just him. But I thought, and I'm guessing yourself, Sean, that you probably agree that Rogic this season especially, he's been one of our main players, and as soon as he kind of was out the team, you've seen the difference when he wasn't there. I know Beaton's been playing well, and you've got McCarthy there as well, who I think will come good. You're missing a bit of creativity. I know Tumblegee's getting a wee bit of abundance, but Rogic just glides with the ball. I know he's no quick, but he looks quicker than he is because he just glides with the ball at his feet and he can turn, and it's only going to benefit us having been fully fit, hopefully for the rest of the season.
No, definitely. I mean, I think he's probably the best player in the world in the half turn, isn't he? Like, he's just so good, and I think his creative improvisation and stuff like that to sort of see things that maybe other players in the squad might not see just adds so much for us going forward. And I think that especially against sort of low block, hard to break down defences, that's an absolutely massive asset for us. And I mean, what we were going to sell him for, I think the figure was about 4 million, I think last season or something like that. And even at the end of last season, you'd have probably said he was one of yesterday's men and we should move him on. And you know what I mean?
Loads of people say that, Sean.
I said it myself, mate. I'm not going to lie. Like, I was like, it wasn't about his ability. It was more just the fact that we've sort of, he's played, you know what I mean? He's probably
just change it about a bit, basically.
That's it. It goes a bit stale sometimes, and he's probably touched about 30 games, and you know what I mean? You like, instead of playing like more games in the early course of the season, and probably hasn't contributed enough in terms of his fitness and that. But this season, he seems to be a lot fitter as well. And I think that's probably down to Ange and his sort of intensity that he allows within training and stuff like that. But no, he's been brilliant for us, and I hope he starts tomorrow, and hopefully we can bear the fruits of that, and hopefully go on to get a victory.
I think a big bonus for that, Sean. Sorry, Ryan.
No, you go.
I think a big bonus for that as well, Sean, is the fact that he dedicated himself in the summer. With, committing the press, I'm going to get fit. I don't know whether he knew, the setup of where it was going to be with Ange, or even he knew there was a new manager coming in. So right away he showed a great attitude, I thought, at the beginning, to go, you know what, I'm going to get fit. Maybe I've not been as fit as what I've, possibly shown under maybe Brendan or, other managers. So I want to get myself fit, to give myself a chance to get back into that team and show the fans that love me what I can actually do on a week-to-week basis.
No, absolutely. And I think obviously having previously worked with Ange with Australia and stuff like that, he probably already knew the environment that he was going to be walking into. And he was probably able to get a head start on a lot of the other players because of that. And, thank God he did, because he's been brilliant for us this season, and I hope that it can continue for a long, long time. He's still only 28 as well, which a lot of people forget.
Absolutely.
He's maybe a veteran in the Celtic eyes, but in age terms, he's probably hit his peak yet. That's a scary thought, mate. I know he's 28, and I don't know if we've seen the best of him, but this year was like he was just back in the team again. He was a new signing.
I think it was quite interesting as well with Ange when he spoke when he came in, and he told when he done the fan media interview with Dominic McKay that when he was the Australia manager, Tom always had a problem in his body. And I thought that was interesting hearing that, because maybe it put a few things into perspective as to a lot of the fans saying, why can he not play 90 minutes? What's going on? Why is he only lasting 60, maybe 75 minutes? And then when Brendan came in, he sort of took his fitness up again. And there was times where he played 90 minutes, obviously not consecutively, but he was able to then get out that. And again, that was just under good coaching and maybe a decent network behind him, like a sports scientist. And now that we've got a new sports scientist, who, by the way, is supposed to be, you can actually see the difference in the team now. As I say, and I keep getting back to it, a year ago to now, it's totally nothing to do.
No, it is, mate, 100%. Last year, another podcast we spoke about it every week, how bad the fitness was. And as you say, Rogic has lost a bit. Sean, obviously, all guys in the team have lost a bit. Ajeti lost a bit. Obviously, Shane Duffy's going to Brighton. He's lost a bit. It shows you exactly what was wrong last year. But again, is that the attitude of the players? Or is it a mix of both? Obviously, the manager was like, there's Ian Brugard, do what you want, there's Ketchup, do what you want. Or is it more the professional sense of the players were like, well, if I'm not getting the professional side at the club, why should we be professional? To me, that's the way it looks. I don't believe that players go and eat burgers all the time for the sake of it. There's obviously something why it happened, and you're seeing the fruits it now, as JP says, a new era, new sports science staff. I think sports science has a lot to do with Rogic as well, Sean. I don't know if you have ever thought about that yourself, but I think sports science is a lot of a day now with players fitness and who plays games and how many minutes they play.
No, absolutely. I think it's such a massive part of the modern day sort of game and stuff like that. And obviously the contrast between last season and this season is night and day in a lot of ways. And I think that it's also professionalism. It's like the manager needs to come out and set the standards of professionalism within the club so that the players can actually go and work off of that. And obviously last season under Neil Lennon, I don't think we had that, even the way he conducted himself in the media at times, and obviously the way the club was run as a whole probably just fed into a negative atmosphere within the changing room. And with those standards of professionalism comes like almost like an obligation, like I'm going to go out and I'm going to need to go and close down balls and I'm going to need to go and do this, that and the next thing. Whereas last season, like, I don't think we pressed at all under Lennon. I think obviously first season to an extent we did, but we almost got away with not doing it because we were winning games, and obviously the likes of Edward and whoever else are just on fire. So it didn't really matter because you can do that against so-called lesser opposition. But in the modern day, like, if you don't have that sort of standards of fitness and that aim of like, right, we're going to try and pressurise the opposition and make sure that we do the hard yards and everything else, then, you know what I mean? Like, it just, I don't know, like, I suppose at the end of the day, like as you see this season, you see the fruits of that. For like on Sunday, for example, against Aberdeen, Kyogo, I think it's like the 88th minute, and obviously he runs himself into the ground every game. And instead of staying back, like we played Aberdeen 3 or 4 times last season, 2 at Celtic Park that we won 1-0, and obviously we got the goal and then we sat off of them in the last 15, 20 minutes and invited pressure. Kyogo on Sunday, instead of allowing Aberdeen to pump long balls up to their penalty area and stuff, was immediately gone and pressing. And I think the ball goes out for a throw or something and it gets a reaction off of the crowd. And I think you can just see like how much that actually feeds into why we're doing so well at the moment. Pretty much.
No, 100%. I think we've alluded to it as well, and even on Twitter and stuff, if fans realise how much Kyogo is. I'm not saying he's the main guy in the team, but I think that JP, if he doesn't play, who is going to lead the role up there now? I know Jackie Marcus, I think, will come good, but he doesn't look the guy that's going to come in and chase down 5-yard passes, 10-yard passes, chase the balls at the corners. That's not his game. So would you look in January to bring somebody in to do that? Because obviously with the sounds that I get, he's not going to be part of the squad for much longer. He might go on loan, he might get sold, or he might be in the squad to the end of the season, but he's not going to play a big enough role, in my opinion. I don't think he's good enough anymore. So do you think maybe get somebody similar? I know there's rumours about the guy for Japan up front, came in as well, the guy who's really, really quick. He might be the guy to come in, maybe not play up front with him, but if Kyogo does need a rest, as Ange says, because he's played so much football, but he come in and basically it's just quality for quality.
I'd imagine that's the idea, Ryan, with that one. Going with what I'm hearing, the reports I've seen, what I've seen about him, and what I've actually witnessed myself watching the videos of him, he's quicker than Kyogo. I know that's quite hard to kind of take in because the wee man's rapid, fast himself, but Maeda's he's lightning quick, and that's his game. He presses for the top end of the field, and he's like Kyogo. He'll chase lost causes. He'll run about all day for you. I actually think obviously we don't want to wish anything on any of our players, but I think a good option for us now would be to move Jota in one. Mm-hmm. Because I think Jota's got every attribute that he could actually play centrally. He's certainly got the for the front forward to the opposite goalie. He's got the pressing game. Mm-hmm. Actually, I think he would harry people. If you make people think as well, because he's got that agility and flexibility. Should somebody make a slack pass, wee man's got that stretch where he can get in. He's kind of bendy that way as well. He just he glides by people. So I think he's got the attributes to play in there. Obviously short term, we're not talking anything long term here. And then obviously then you've got the option of bringing, I know a lot of people maybe, don't want to hear this, but right now Mikey Johnson's an option to come in and play there as well. Like where Jota would be, which is on the left, for then Jota to move in one. Because then you've still got Rogic and you've still got Turnbull. You're still going to have that kind of third man press. What about you do is you play Forrest one in as well, because he showed that he can play there under Brendan. Actually, I think he scored a hat-trick against Israel playing through the centre for Scotland, if I'm not wrong.
I'm sure he did get a hat-trick, but I'm not sure if it was his.
And I think he played more centrally because Ryan Fraser basically like pushed him in one basically. But again, there's plenty of options, and that's a good thing about having a full squad coming back to fitness, right? If you look at for the start of the season to now, again, night and day.
Big time night and day, mate.
You look at the limited options, maybe having to play the young boys against, even your pre-season friendlies, young boys against West Ham, a couple of young boys having to play against your Midtjyllands, and very important game for us at that time of the season. And Andrew's now, he's not got that type of headache now. He's actually got a better type of headache now, in that he's got his fully fit squad. No doubt the lad take in January. Who that's going to be, we'll not know the now. We can all sit and second guess and say, right, this one, that one. We're hearing bits of the press here, bits of the media there. Guys on social media think they're in the know, etc. But whoever it comes in, bet your boots, he's coming in because he suits that style of play. He suits the way Ange wants to press. He suits the way Ange wants to play. And that's what Ange is doing. He's bringing people in to suit his system. That's the first time I've had a manager doing that for as long as I can remember.
Well, obviously last season, Sean, we all thought the window was a good window. I think there still are all decent players that we signed, but they weren't into the system that we were going to play, and I think that was one reason why we were so poor. But obviously, onto the January window, as I said about the guy for Japan, what's your opinion on, obviously, do you agree maybe somebody has to come in to back up Kyogo in case he does get out injured or he does need a break, come back for international duty, to just come into the same job? Because I think that's what we're starting to get out wide now. You've got Jota, Abada, Forrest. I'm not Mikey Johnson's biggest fan, but he's still an option, I suppose, to come in at the moment. I don't know what your feelings is on that at all, mate.
No, absolutely. I think you only need to look at the situation just now. I think Mac is still injured. As far as I'm aware, correct me if I'm wrong, could be, but their only real alternative through the centre in terms of a natural striker right now is Albion Ajeti, who probably, by all accounts, despite having a decent pedigree, probably doesn't fit into the system somewhat. So I think definitely bringing in another striker's got to be a priority for me. Obviously, reports linking us to Dejan Maeda. I probably butchered his name, but I probably getting linked to him in January. I've got a good feeling that might happen, but obviously if not, then we should be looking at other targets for that role, because it's vital that, you know what I mean, especially with Kyogo having already played a full season in Japan, it's vital that we find the time to rest him appropriately and have suitable replacements to bring in for the time being that can still contribute, basically.
No, 100%, mate. I think we do need reinforcements. I think we're getting reinforcements now. Obviously, as we keep comparing to last season, it's night and day for what we've got on the bench now. Guys are getting back fit again. Really, the only ones I think is missing over long term still Julian, I think. The rest of the squad's coming back, and to what Anne says today, Julian's still a bit away. And I'm being honest, I don't know what you think. I don't know if Julian will play again, JP. I don't know if he'll be away in January, he'll be away again in summer, but I just think either injury's really that bad, he's getting setbacks, or the big man is just like, I'm getting fit, but I'll be off somewhere else. I might be backing up Ryan Tree here, but I don't know if he's going to be playing again for us, because especially there's rumours about Carter Vickers getting signed, rumours, maybe £6 million, £10 million, where it is. I know some fans were saying, we can't pay that. Well, we pay £7 million for Julian, so of course we can. If that's the guy Ange wants and that's the guy who we need to bring in, we'll pay him money and get him. But don't know what your feeling is on Officer Julian. If he's fit, I've always said he is your best centre back still, in my opinion. I like the big man. He had 2 or 3 games where he got Lyndon Dykes' move to QPR, but apart from that, I think he's a big game player. But will he come back into the team right away and will he play a game of Celtic? I don't know if he will, because if you've got Starfelt come back in as well, you can't just tap Starfelt because he is starting to play well again.
No, definitely. I really do think Julian will play for us again, Ryan. I do think that was a really, really bad injury the big fella got. His knee, right in the centre, collided with a post at speed. He was running back. If you remember the injury, he was sprinting to clear a ball off the line. It was going by, because I think it was a Barkas or Bain that was in goals. I think it might have been Bain. He's came out. He's committed himself. The boys knocked the ball by him. And the big fella's went round Bain. He's went right up, well, more or less early tap of Bain, ran and cleared the ball off the line. And as he's done that, he's collided with a post right on his kneecap, right in the centre of his knee. So I think he just shattered every ligament that was sent through the middle of his kneecap, more or less. And I think that's why he's been out for as long as he's been out. He spent a lot of time back here in France. It was a good 6-7 months, I think, he went away and spent in France to do his rehab. He's come back. He's full training with the team.
Aye.
Don't be fooled with, obviously, what Ange says. And what Ange did say, he's just an update. That was all he said. He doesn't mean the big man's miles and miles away. He just says he's still working through things. They want to get him spot on. They don't want him coming back and breaking down. Because I think Ange knows himself. He's a big player for Celtic now. And we spoke about this previously as well. He's a massive, massive character. He was there when we've won things. He scored important goals in big games for us. You look at the Lazio game and the cup final at Hampden, and you know, he's vital for us, vital. And just having him back on the training field, that'll be helping every one of the boys that maybe haven't spent a lot of time at Celtic yet. It'll help with Joe Hart. It'll take the pressure off of him. It'll take the pressure off McGregor because you've got another big voice there. And Ange just doesn't want that breaking down. And I can understand why. Because, again, I think Ange maybe sees it as he's going to be a big player for Celtic. Now, we're not talking about he's coming in straight away either. That's not what I mean. Because I can't overlook Carter Vickers and the way Starfelt has started the season. He took a bit of a raw deal and a bit of doing that for fans, saying he's too slow and he's this and that. And he was just steady. I seen him as just a steady player. He doesn't do anything daft. And I've seen it for day one. He might have been a bit slow when he came in, but he quickly adapted to Ange's style and what Ange wanted, i.e. play the ball faster, tempo, let's keep going. And he just keeps it simple. He goes back to the keeper if he needs to, and that's what I like about him. Obviously, we've seen it in other games. Teams will press him. He's made a couple of mistakes. He's not the only guy in the world to make mistakes, let's face it.
We all make mistakes in life, mate, didn't we? So
I think a lot of your support like to look for a bigger scapegoat. And it's somebody else every season, especially guys I've sat beside for years. Cut a year ago it was Forrest. Then we were looking for Lennon. Then we're looking for this. We're looking for that. We're always looking to point fingers and blame and say this and that. And last season it was John Kennedy and Strachan and not a peep about them now. Now it's somebody else. I don't know why it is and why you find that. I've said it on the previous pods as well. I don't like criticising them because they're there trying to do the job and I'm sitting here talking about them. So they must be doing something better than me. Because they're actually doing it day to day.
I'm the same as you. I try not to, but sometimes when you watch it, it's frustrating because sometimes they're doing simple things wrong. You're like, hey, come on, man. But I agree with you. I try not to do it because end of the day, they're professionals. I didn't make it to that level. I'm doing a podcast talking about them. So, as you said, they are doing something that we're not. So, obviously on the topic of Julian, Sean, I don't know what your opinion the big man is. And do you think he will come in and play again? Or do you think maybe, as JP says, maybe he has been in France? Do you thought, you know what, maybe I do let him home? But I'm just going to how long he's been out. I know it was a bad injury, but I just don't know if he will come back in and play again. If he will play again, if he will play, I just don't know what I'm feeling on it. I hope so because I think he is our best centre back, and I like the big man. I know sometimes he can be a bit soft, but I just think that was. I'm not going to blame the park, right? But I don't think they're the sort of games for him on the wee Astro Parks. I know players have conditions where they're better than others, and I just think that is. I think for him, the Livingston Park just was a no-no.
No, well, I very much hope so because I don't think it's just the defensive qualities, but it's also his qualities in both boxes as well. In terms of the amount of goals he's actually scored for us for a centre half is quite remarkable. And he's such a threat as well. Like I think it was on one of the other Celtic podcasts I might have listened to yesterday or today, and they were saying that despite having the likes of Carter Vickers, stuff out whoever else in the opposition box, our best threat's probably Tony Ralston, which is quite strange in terms of actually like getting on the end of things and stuff like that. But it'd be great to have him back. Obviously, leadership qualities as well is a massive plus. We've got a few leaders on the side, the likes of Joe Hart and Callum McGregor. I think Juranovic has also been kind of earmarked as one of the folk who's a supposed leader in the side. But having Julian back would be great. It just feels like it's never ending though, because obviously it was nearly a year ago when he actually collided with the post and ended up getting a long-term injury. But I agree with JP though in terms of Angel wanting to come back and kind of his best the condition that he can be. If we sort of rush him into things and he goes and gets another knock, he could set himself back who knows how long. So definitely just hopefully he keeps working away in the background and he can come back in before too long. But you know what I mean? We just never know with these things these days.
No, I agree, mate. I really do hope he comes back in because, as I says, I do think he's our best centre back at present. But I must start to really want with Vickers. If it is £6 million, JP, £10 million, whatever it is, I know it's just paper talking, it's just come out the blue. But I've heard through what people, and I actually know a guy who had him in a taxi a few weeks ago. I think we were for a few beers, and obviously didn't give away too much. But Brian's like, "How you feeling, big man? You like?" He says, "It's good, not." It was before the Ferencváros game, and he says they were really confident going to Ferencváros. He says in the taxi, he says, "Obviously didn't give you too much." He says, "I think we'll do well. I think we'll win." Not blah blah. He says he's living life in Glasgow, and he doesn't think he'll play for Spurs. He thinks that ship sails. But again, he's come up here, in my opinion. He's kind of shown a wee bit of Premiership class, I would say. He looks very comfortable in the ball. He's an absolute machine. You can even just watch him in the park. His thighs are big in my head. He's an absolute machine. So I think if a permanent transfer for him could be done, obviously the market can be a bit inflated because you're for here. They might want you to pay a bit more than you should because of the English teams obviously demand a lot more because of the money situation down there. But for me, JP, if we could get him permanently, it's a good start of the season. I don't see why we shouldn't continue to sign him for a longer term.
And it's a no-brainer. And the thing about that is as well, you've got to remember, lads, we've got him on loan to buy. Mm-hmm. There has already been a fee agreed with Celtic, and Spurs should Celtic take up that option at the end of the season. He's done enough in 6 months to show me that he's good enough to play for Celtic. And he'll just develop as we go, because he reminds me of Denier. Remember when we signed Denier with Delia? Mm-hmm. And he just came on and he fitted in really well with Big Van Dijk. He's that type of player. It doesn't matter who he's going to be playing beside. He's actually starting to improve Welsh. See if you watch Welsh beside him. Welsh has actually started doing the simple thing. Don't do anything daft. Just read the game, stand back, read the game, do the simple thing. Go back to the goalie if you have to, but keep the ball moving. That seems to be the clear message and just sent to them. Don't give away cheap possession. Keep the ball. We need to go back to the goalie. Start again. It doesn't matter. We'll go again. They all know their roles. Every one of them all want the ball. None of them are hiding. They all want the ball as well. That's one of the big pluses I've seen this season. They all believe whatever he's done to them. I don't know what he said to them or what he's done, but what they're working on, he's got them believing that they're the best, and you can see it. They all want the ball, and they all believe they can go anywhere now and get a result. And I think what kick-started it was that 2-1 victory at Pittodrie. We hadn't won away from home in a long time. There was a hoodoo, there was this, that. Load of nonsense. We just hadn't won away from home in a wee while. That was all. We got that belief back as soon as we hit Aberdeen. We've not lost a game since. Mm-hmm. So...
No, I can agree with you when it comes to the Aberdeen game, because obviously
out with Europe, I mean.
Obviously Sean will touch on Vickers in a minute, but it's good JP's mentioned that, because again, I've spoken about this in previous pods a lot. I know people say don't listen to media, but the media, they mad nothing. They never give Celtic any credit whatsoever. As soon as one game is a defeat or one game is bad, it's the manager's for the sack, he's not good enough. And as soon as Ange came in, they're trying to get the sack, and you've seen it at the press conferences. And before the Aberdeen game, it was basically, if he loses this, he's off. And we all knew that wasn't going to happen, but the media's tried to put the pressure on us before the game. And again, won that game, ever since then, we've kind of turned a corner in my opinion as well. So I kind of agree with that, JP. I don't know what you say with that, Sean, but I think that was maybe a wee twist, a turning point for us.
Absolutely. I think if my stats are correct, I think we are unbeaten in 8 domestic games. Obviously, I think the only real blip would probably be the Livingston at home game, but even then, it was a penalty that we missed in the last minute, which obviously on another day, Giannakis puts it away. We win that game and we're probably in a better position in the league. But no, absolutely, I think we've started to build a wee bit of a run domestically, and I think also making the cup final is a really big sort of step for us, and sort of brings the mentality and togetherness of the squad to that next level, and gives them that belief that we actually can go and challenge for and win trophies. And that's ultimately what you come to Celtic for. And I just think that, you know, I mean, we've got a good run of games coming up, hard games, but challenging games in their own right that we're going to need to go out and win. And I think we'll probably put ourselves in the best position to go and do that. So hopefully that starts with tomorrow night.
And then obviously on Vickers, would you obviously take that up as well if we could get that deal done?
Oh, absolutely, man. I'd bite your hand off for him right now because he's just such a settling presence at the back. And as you say yourself, JP, I think the likes of Stephen Welsh and that as well, they're almost like Vicker's positive influence is rubbing off on the likes of Stephen Welsh. And I think that such a steady option to have at the back and never seems to be caught miles out of position or, you know what I mean, miss a header or anything like that. Very strong physical presence that could handle some of the bigger physical strikers in the SPFL. And, you know what I mean, ultimately, I just think that if we do have the option to buy, which I hope that we do, is something that we should definitely take up. And if not, then we should try and sort of deal it for him regardless, because he's really, really good player and I've been really impressed with him so far.
I think he's very good in the air as well, Sean.
Aye,
he's not the tallest of defenders, so like say when you compare him to like Julian's humongous in height. Like big Ayer as well, big tall boy. He's not the tallest, but he's superb in the air. And he jumps quite a lot of guys that are bigger than him as well.
That's his timing, his jump and stuff like that's spot on. And I think him beside Starfelt as well, obviously. I think when they two went beside each other at the back, that's when we started to get the best defensive record in the league and stuff like that. I think Starfelt's also really came onto a game in recent times that he's played before his injury, and they've got a really good partnership. And add Gillian into the mix as well, and Welsh, and you've got solid defensive options there, I think.
Definitely.
I think if compared to, especially at the back for last season, obviously Julian was injured, but we've got options again, 3-4. Personally, I'd still like another centre-back just for cover because we do tend to get some injuries, especially at the back. But obviously the transfer window is coming up soon, and Hans did speak about they've got plans there in an ideal world that would be done, but obviously due to the world we're in at the moment, transfers might take a bit of delay. But obviously, Sean, the left-back situation has been a bugbear for a while. We've went through maybe 4 or 5 windies now with a solid left-back. Montgomery's in now again, Taylor, Bolingoli's still there, but he's not really playing. You've got a right-back, in my opinion, I know he's not played well the last 2 games, but he's playing at left-back, he's not comfortable in Juranovic. I think he's quality. Some fans will say they've not really seen much of him, but at the end of the day, he's Croatia's right back, and you're no Croatia's right back if you're a dud. I think you get 2.5 million, 2.75 million. I thought it's a bargain. I think long term, I know Ralshi's doing well. I think Juranovic will eventually be the right back, but I think left back, we need to sort that hopefully in January, because to consistently swap and change left backs and over settled position there, for me, it's always going to be it's going to be frustrating knowing having a first choice left back, and it must be hard for the defence as well, knowing who's going to be playing every week.
No, definitely. I think one thing with Juranovic as well is almost sort of cancels an important attacking outlet for us, because instead of him being able to swing in balls all the time with his left foot, it's having to either come back inside onto his right, which allows the defender time to get back and intercept, or he's having to put them across with his left and they're either gone at the park or hitting the goalkeeper. So I think the left back's got to be a huge priority. The likes of Greg Taylor, I mean, as much as he's came in and he's done all right under Ange before he got injured, I think that he's probably somebody who's going to be pushing the first choice left back if we get a quality first choice left back in. But hopefully come January, that's a position we can sort it. And I think for me, that would be my key priority, alongside a defensive midfielder or something along those lines. But we'll see what happens, you know what I mean? Obviously, rumours with Rio Hatate, I know you can play in midfield as well, so I'm not sure if he would be the solution to that problem, but we've got to be looking at boys in the transfer market, because we could definitely get somebody in who could improve and also push on other players to try and challenge for a first team spot between now and the end of the season.
And obviously, you were talking about the Japanese league with Hati. I think, Sean, that again could be a kind of a league to tap into. Obviously, Ange knows the league, and most of us, I only see the players pop up when they're mentioned. I never heard of Kyogo. I never heard of the 2 other guys for Japan that were rumoured to sign. So I'm not going to say their name in case I totally say their name wrong. So, but I think the guys, for what I've seen on I know YouTube always shows you the best bits, but for what I've seen, they would look decent assets. And obviously, you look at Twitter these days, there's a lot more analysts and journalists and scouts who come out, especially about Ange. When Ange signed, oh, he's brilliant doing in Australia. He'll transform your club, and we're all like, right, okay, right, no bother. and he's come in and they've been proven right. So, and a lot of these guys for Japan are getting good write-ups. I know it's only Twitter, but it's guys who have got credible Twitter accounts who are no just spouting absolute nonsense. So you've got to take a bit of belief that if they did come in and for what they're saying, that it could be a decent kind of window, hopefully, if they two do come in.
No, absolutely. Oh, sorry, is it you, JP? If
I don't know, was it myself?
No, Sean, yourself.
Sean,
sorry about that. No, sorry. No, definitely. I mean, at the end of the day, I think the one thing under Brendan Rodgers that we did have, and obviously, you know what I mean, despite people's opinion on Brendan Rodgers, whether it be good or bad, one thing that we always had under him was two players fighting for every position. And obviously, the worst thing that you can have in a team is that certain members in the side get too comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
The likes of Greg Taylor is probably when he's been in the side. He's like this season before he got injured. Obviously, Bolingoli is probably more than likely to be on his way out come either January or the summer. Adam Montgomery is obviously a really promising young player, but he's still young and probably needs to be tempered and managed effectively. We've not really got anybody to push Greg Taylor massively that Ange, I think, deems to be someone who's going to be around for the long-term future, number one, but also be good enough for the imminent sort of upcoming games to be able to step in and perform. Obviously, in Montgomery there, just because of his age and stuff like that. But no, definitely, I just think that come January, that should be, you know what I mean, first day of the window. We should already have targets lined up and ready to go because obviously we're playing against, I mean, they probably won't come in for the Rangers game in the 2nd of January, but we've got massive games coming up. Obviously, the other, like the sort of following rounds of the UEFA Conference League and stuff like that as well, which is a competition that I think we'd all like to see us go running. So we're going to need quality for that because despite it being a step down for the Europa League in some people's eyes, there's still going to be quality teams there who are going to have good attacking outlets. Facing up against whoever is a prospective left back, but no, absolutely get somebody in, make us all happy, man. Like that's just it.
I would say left back. I know Juranovic is playing there now, and I still think he'll do a good job at the moment there. But I still think it's maybe the weakest part of our team because again, sometimes against Leverkusen they looked a bit uncomfortable. But again, going forward, I actually noticed it in the game on Sunday. He had 2 or 3 really poor crosses for his left foot, and you can see he get frustrated with himself. But again, at least he's doing the job for the team. As I say, I know Greg Taylor tries, but I agree with you. I don't think he's going to be the guy to play every week for us. We do need, I don't want to say world class left back, but you need somebody who's a first team quality left back to play week in, week out, and especially like you says, we want to go around Europe, so we'll need as much reinforcements as we can. I know JP, we've spoken about the left back before that we do need somebody in there, and again, I don't really know who to bring in. I know there's rumours again about Aaron Hickey, but I think he will cost you an arm and a leg now, considering how much he played in Italy now, and I think he's progressed a bit more than he was at Hearts, so I don't know if that would be about the question, but I like to think Ange has got something in mind to bring a left back in, or he might wait for the summer, better options, but I think January, for me, I'd like to get somebody in at that position.
First and foremost, I think Ange, I don't think left backs, and again, I might be talking pure guff, but I don't think left backs a massive priority for Ange. I'll tell you why. I spoke previously about this, even off camera as well, I spoke about this. Ange, at the beginning of this season, the 2 boys who were the mainstays in the team, Ralston, Taylor, they started off with his new system, they were playing it, and as much as anybody can sit and slag Greg Taylor, he started the season really well until he got his injury. He was excellent against AZ Alkmaar, especially at Parkhead. But when there he got that injury, sort of set him back. Again, we started the game really well. He plays a switch pass to Ralston. Ralston then plays a ball at the top to Abada. Goal, Kyogo, right through the middle. Just like that. Fast attacking football. Ball no getting dilly-dallied with, getting good tempo in the passing, zipped in, boom, goal. And that's what we all want to see. And then he got that injury, and then he tried to come back, and he got injured again. So I do think Ange likes Greg Taylor. I also think at the beginning of the season, watching Greg Taylor, I thought he looked after the ball really well. when he was coming inside, he's got that calm, composure to play passes. Now, whether they be 6-yard passes or 60-yard passes, he can play that ball into the number 6 for us then to start moving through the middle into your mid-sixes, into, onto the forward. And I do think Ange likes him. That might not be to everybody else's liking, by the way, because everybody might have their own opinions of Greg Taylor. I personally, myself, I don't think Greg's had the best of starts to Celtic. There's certainly been better players in previous years. I think, to be honest with you, and Greg Taylor, Brian, I think he gets a raw deal. Sean, I don't know about you, but he's always compared to Kieran Tierney. And I think it's a bit unfair because I think everybody that's coming in as left back now is always going to get compared to KT. Before KT, we all ranted and raved about Izagiri, and it was going to be him. And then KT came in, and everybody ranted and raved about him, and rightly so, because the boy's absolutely top of the range. He's probably one of the best in the world at that position, in my opinion. I actually think he's better than Andy Robertson. Again, that might be a big call for some people, but I know Scotland are trying to utilise the two of them in the same system, and it does work. Let's be honest, it does work, and it's brought Scotland some success. But again, it's playing to your strengths. So keeping Tierney on the left and then having the two of them overlapping with one another, that kind of works. But no, I think left back might be a position he brings in. I don't think it's going to be a priority. I think Ange is looking for midfield to forward. And I think maybe a wee bit of help for Callum is what maybe Ange is looking for. And that's probably why you're hearing he's been linked to the boy at Bodo Glimt, Patrick Berg, and very similar player to Callum. And that he's got that quality. I watched him against Roma. The boy is sensational. Well, he was that night anyway, he was sensational. And I've heard a lot of other great reports about the boy. That's not only, that wasn't a one-half for that performance. Internationally, he's probably not getting a fair share of, a crack at it, but he's got good quality. But players of that ilk, then I think Ange is definitely going to be looking to strengthen from midfield to forward. Maybe a centre half, but I might be wrong. I had my hands up at the time if I'm wrong, and we did. His number one target's a left back, and he brings him in, and that's it. But I do feel that that's not going to be his priority in this January window.
I think what you said as well, Sean, is similar echoes of JP about the midfield. I think we need a backup for McGregor, because if he's away, I don't want to say we're totally not the same team, but it's a big mishap to the team if he's not there.
No, definitely. I think as well, obviously, I think Neil Beaton's came in the kind of central defensive midfield role and being able to play those sort of big, rangy forward passes and stuff like that to get us kind of set off quickly. But with McGregor, I think he's just so tidy and he's always looking to recycle the ball. He's looking to get it out to the wide men as quick as he can and everything else, and then able to support it like at a rapid rate that maybe a Beaton or McCarthy is maybe no best situated to with their skill set. But I think a defensive midfielder or somebody who's a deep lying sort of midfielder who can, recycle the ball really well and be able to kind of counter, like kind of start up attacks and stuff like that, probably should be a priority for us as well. Obviously, we don't know how much the board and whoever else are going to back Ange in January in terms of signings. We might be sitting here saying that, we'll get 3 or 4 in the door and we end up with 1 or 2. But, you know what I mean? I think definitely a midfielder, I'd say probably a 6 /8 would be a good starting point for us as well, just in terms of getting depth as well, because at the start of the season, I think everybody got a bit of a fright when the window shut with how threadbare our midfield actually was. Obviously, there was talk late on in the window of Ali McCann potentially coming in, but he went down to Preston, and you know what I mean, we only have a set number of options in there. I think maybe even a more attack-minded midfielder as well, in terms of being able to, like it's usually been, we sort of like play with a 10, but not really. It's sort of like the 2 10s, but like they're almost sort of kind of doing a bit of 10, a bit of 8, whatever else. Having a good attacking midfielder might also be a priority, but I'm just playing Football Manager at this point. We're not going to go and sign 7 players or that, like. But you know what I mean? Nah, definitely some depth in the midfield anyway. I think is what I'm trying to say.
And obviously there was a news flash obviously for the game about the protest for the Brigade and stuff about Higgins. Don't know what you use. I try and keep my mouth shut about it. I don't really talk about it, but I think it's probably something to mention, JP, because it can't happen.
No, definitely no. Obviously, we all know the politics behind it. I don't really want to get into too much detail, but I'm actually getting fed up about it now because it's kind of dragging on and dragging on. I wish the club would, release a statement about it and let us know once and for all what's happening, because I think they know what the outcome is going to be, especially in terms of the support. How things are going to go if that appointment is definitely made and it's put in concrete, and they're kind of leaving it dangling there. And I think they've got a duty of care as well to come out and put it to bed once and for all. But I'm also getting fed up with it on the other side as well, because it seems to be getting talked about more than the actual football that we're playing now. And that seems to be becoming the main focus at the club. And I don't want that to be the main focus of the club. Because for me, whatever decisions made, personally, is it going to impact what's happening on the field? I don't think so. So I think it needs to, one way or the other, it needs to be put to bed.
So obviously I don't know what your opinions as well, Sean, but I'm at JP. I don't really mention it, but I just think it's maybe about time we raised it a wee bit on here, because we've not really spoken about it. I just think it's, JP says, it won't affect us on the park, but after park it would definitely affect us in a way.
Oh, I mean, it's a shambles, isn't it? And what really gets me is it's the custodians that vote from the vote silent treatment. You know what I mean? We are the biggest club in the country and one of the biggest clubs in Europe and the world and whatever else. Yet, you know what I mean, our club choose to operate behind closed doors to such a level that the fans don't actually get any say on what happens at the club. You know what I mean? It's 2021 and we're still in the same position that we were as a club about 20 years ago at boardroom level. And I think that all likelihood they'll probably try and sneak him in the back door, but we need to make sure that obviously, depending on what your opinion on it is, but I think universally everybody's sort of against it to a certain extent. And I think that obviously what you are saying about on the park, I think the thing is with the protests and that though is that very necessary and everything else. Obviously, I counter I don't know what I'm saying. A sort of like consequence of that is that, you know what I mean, maybe the atmosphere in the stadium is a bit negative than it would normally be. Obviously, we were beating Aberdeen 2-1 at the weekend and sort of closing away to an important victory, and the Green Brigade rightfully go and, you know what I mean, put the banner up with it sitting after the match and stuff like that, which I thought was brilliant. But you know what I mean, it's okay when we're winning games, but obviously we're going to keep this up regardless of whether we're winning or losing, because it's far too important for our support, and obviously what our support had to encounter under the Offensive Behaviour at Football Act and whatever else, to not voice their opinions at every given opportunity. But, you know, hopefully they keep up the good fight and Celtic do the right thing and don't appoint this guy, because he should be nowhere near a football club. And that's what I have to say. Obviously, I don't want to go and could talk for ages about it, but, you know, I think he's just, suppose, kind of have put the kind of main points in context there, and I get him out, Sean.
Get him out, Sean, no me.
It's either him or me.
Aye.
Pretty much.
Yeah, funny. No, I agree with you, lads. Obviously, as the main thing is the game tomorrow. What's your predictions? Obviously, Sean, Jank, you'll make a few changes, and obviously, hopefully, the opinion they'll be winning the game.
Aye, well, I think I would imagine James Forrest will probably come back in. I think with Abada, look, I mean, at the end of the day, there's no denying he's probably been a bit inconsistent in recent weeks. I'd partially put that down to the amount of football he's played since coming to the club, and obviously, I think Forrest coming in would be a good bit of experience to have in a sort of game that there'll be a bit of needle in that. And we know his qualities, and it would give Abada a chance to maybe just have a bit of time to refresh and, you know what I mean, come back stronger and be able to put up the great numbers that he's put up since he's came here. But in terms of team selection, I think that, you know what I mean, I'd like to see, as I said previously, I'd like to see Tom Rogic maybe back in there. I have a feeling Beaton might come in, but I'm not sure whether he'll maybe go with Rogic and Turnbull if Rogic is fit enough, which I hope he is. But if not, I think he might slide Beaton back in there, just because McCarthy was only playing his first 90 minutes of the season at the weekend there. They'd maybe look to bring him on to close out the game. But no, I mean, hopefully we just go out, play in the front foot, and the atmosphere is absolutely bouncing, and we can get another massive 3 points. And you know what I mean, that's all that I think any is want at this point, and we just hopefully continue this run for as long as possible, because it's been great to watch, and I think that we've also been able to actually get ourselves to a point now where we're able to grind out results as well. So 1-0 or 5-0, just win tomorrow. That's all I'm hoping for.
I'm in agreement with you. I think JP, we've spoken about it a few times as well. If we start fast and get another goal, most teams can't cope with us at the moment. I think hopefully that's the same, because I know the last home game we played them, I know it was 3-2, but it was 3-2 going on 7-2. We were phenomenal that day. Few mistakes near the end cost us a few goals, but a similar performance, I think there's only one winner in my opinion.
Aye, absolutely. Touching on what Sean says there about the changes, I agree. I think the only maybe change you'll probably possibly see is McCarthy for Beaton. I don't imagine there'll be wholesale changes with the squad, because again, momentum is key, important, and moving forward, that's what we need to take us into these games. And I don't get, if any player's fit and want to play, let them play. You know, let them play. Obviously, eventually they're going to get injured or whatever, but that's going to happen to everybody. So you need to let them play and let the momentum keep going. Let them, you know, keep building. As I say, as much as people say, they're doing well, they're still a new team. They're still trying to learn to play together. They're learning new ways. They're learning if a manager, they've never been coached this style way before. Even Juranovic says it. He played in Warsaw and, other teams, Croatia. No, we don't play the same way. This is a different way for him used to playing. So, and he's not the only one that's on, that boat. So, I just keep it the same. If Hearts open up, then I would imagine you're looking at a good, decent scoreline, because that'll just eat into Celtic's hands, especially at Parkhead. You've got to come to Parkhead and open up against us with the squad that Hearts have got. Albeit people are saying, they're a strong squad and they've got this, they've got that. I'm sorry, but they're no Bayern Munich or Bayer Leverkusen, or they don't have the manpower to play in about us and open us up and, this shape us and make their players put on the back foot. The only thing that will do that is us not playing with a tempo and allowing them to play in front of us. If we sit in, and that's the only way that will happen. And again, you've got to, the chance of them getting set pieces, and we spoke about it earlier with the big boys at the back, Halkett and John Suter. John Suter's a dangerous player at set pieces as well, similar to Big Julian. He's a threat on the opposite end of the pitch as well. But no, I can only see a Celtic victory and a comfortable Celtic victory tomorrow, unless we don't turn up. And I can't foresee that happening right now.
I think right now, you're kind of expecting to turn up all the time now, because of the way we're playing, and I think momentum's a big thing at the moment. I know it kind of stopped the Leverkusen defeat, but then again, the win against Aberdeen, you're back on the trail again. Again, you're hoping for a good win because it's a quick turnaround for the game on Sunday. Again, basically 2 days rest and you're back playing again. So hopefully, again, momentum's a big thing now, and I think it's a big thing moving to January, Sean, but we need to keep, I know we don't want to look too far ahead, you win the new, but we all know that's going to be a massive game, and I think a win tomorrow is just going to keep eating into that. Obviously, the lead at the top, and again, every win's important to build the team. As JP says, some of the squad are just getting used to playing this way, winning every week, and it's only going to help the team moving forward.
No, absolutely. And I think as well, it's probably important not to forget that I think Hearts, despite us having the game in hand extra, I think they're only a couple of points behind us. So there'll also be, I think Ange touched on it in the press conference today and said it didn't really matter. But I mean, it would be good to put some distance between us and them just for the sake of, you know what I mean? They got them going second like they did on Saturday there, and you're like, oh, well, you know what I mean? If we go and get drop points against Aberdeen, then we're not only second, but we're potentially third. But you know, that's it. I think that it's a massive game, obviously, in the context of the season, and I think that we've actually got two quite difficult games this week with Hearts and then Dundee United away. And I think that the best, you know what I mean, the best way of dealing with it is to just go attack, you know what I mean, like have, you know what I mean, the fullbacks bombing forward when they can, and you know what I mean, having like hopefully getting the ball out to the likes of like Jota, and you know what I mean, try to read Kyogo's runs as best as you can, because that's the way that we're going to win this game. We showed against Hearts in the 3-2 game how much we can actually stretch them. You know what I mean? I think obviously Edouard's goal, obviously no ways anymore, but his goal was a great example of how well we can actually counter attack against them. You know what I mean? We killed them pretty much still indeed with about 4 or 5 passes for our own sort of, I don't know if it was our own box, but our own half to, you know what I mean, like the goal. So, I mean, I just need to go into it with the mindset that we go into every other game, attack and win, and also I think work hard as well, because Hearts will be up for it tomorrow. And I mean, they probably don't have the quality that we do, but they're a hard working side too. You know what I mean, are able to capitalise if you're not at your best. So, go into it tomorrow and smash it and hopefully get the win and move on to another difficult game on Sunday.
I think that's, as you say, both of us have kind of says there that if we don't turn up, Hearts have got a bit of quality that they can get a goal. And most time with Celtic, because of the way we play, we know Hearts will get a chance. The way we play for the back and the way we always try to counter-attack. So you're obviously where he acts. I know the boy up front's decent boy, so if he's fit, I know he's decent. As you say, JP Souttar's a threat at centre back. He could be a guy that we could even get maybe a free transfer, I'm sure. As an free transfer can option with Souttar.
I think he's got a contract in the summer.
So obviously Hearts make him a massive deal, but Hearts can't give what we can give or what Down South can give. But again, he could be a guy to bring in. Obviously, they want to sign backups, you want to sign first team quality, but again, that's to January to look at. But again, lads, thanks for the chat tonight. Get us on Twitter, subscribe to our YouTube channel, watch us talking nonsense. But then again, it's Celtic, so it's all valuable. Again, JP, Sean, cheers, lads, and hail, hail.
Cheers, lads. Hail, hail.
Cheers.